Power to the truth. This is Margo. This is Monday, May the 6th, 2019, 6:19 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So before we get started into the earthquake report, and I've got a couple of articles to share too, I want to show you what I've been doing on my website. I've added this page, the Book of Revelation, and I've added a link in the menu bar here, and I'll just read what I wrote. On this page I present the Book of Revelation from the Bible. It is a book of prophecy for our time. This prophecy has happened before, and it will happen again. Whether you are a believer in Jesus Christ or not, this is the playbook that is being used by the powers that be for these end times. It's not necessary for you to understand every single word or phrase. You will understand more as you develop the heart and mind for hearing and understanding God's prophetic message. Listen and read with an open mind, with the mind of a child, and you will gain much. I'm reading from the King James Version from ebible.org. And what I've done is I've recorded all 22 chapters. Each one is a separate video, and it's right here. You just play it right from here. And you can read along with the Bible, or you can just listen to it. If you want to go to ebible.org to the chapter that I'm reading, it's right there. So if you want to read it yourself and make notes or anything like that, it's all right there. And so all 22 chapters are here. They're pretty short. It tells at the beginning. I've got these up on my Vimeo channel. I now have a Vimeo channel for my private videos, and these are private, but if you have the link, you can go to them. I'm just, I'm trying to not draw a lot of attention to myself, but it tells at the beginning like how long it is. Like this one, chapter 1 is 5 minutes and 31 seconds, and chapter 2 is 7 minutes, and so forth. Some of them are really short, like chapter 3 is 5 minutes and 31 seconds. Here's one that's 3 minutes, chapter 4. So it just depends on how long the chapter is. I think the longest one is about 11 minutes. But I did this because I have kind of a unique audience, and a lot of my audience has not really read the Bible, or they don't know much about it, and especially the Book of Revelation, which is the last book of the Bible. And the term apocalypse is centered around the Book of Revelation, meaning the revealing, but apocalypse also means the end of the earth. And so in this Book of Revelation, St. John, and it's up for debate as to which John it actually is, whether it was the Apostle John or a different John, but it doesn't really matter, because it was one of Jesus' followers, and he was imprisoned on the Isle of Patmos when he had this vision, and Jesus came to him and spoke to him and said, I'm going to show you these things, and I want you to write them down. And then angels came to him, and so this is all in a visionary state, and when he wrote this and had this experience. And I find it fascinating, and it is being used as the playbook. You'll find the mark of the beast in here. You'll find the rise of the Antichrist. You'll find the asteroids that are going to be crashing into the earth. You'll find mention of wormwood, or also known as Nibiru. You'll find all kinds of things about abrupt climate change and the plagues and all this stuff, and it all plays in together, and earthquakes and so here it is, all 22 chapters. I just got it up today. I recorded it last month, and I think I'm going to make one longer video with all of them put together, if anybody wants to just sit and listen to the whole thing. So it's easier to listen in small increments at the beginning, especially if you're not used to hearing this kind of text or language, or you really gotta like open your mind to understand what the words are, and some of it's symbolic, some of it's literal, and not everything is in order and the timeline. It's out of order, and that's how dreams are and visions are. And so you kind of have to go with the flow. And I've read Revelation many times, and I get more out of it every single time I read it, and more understanding, because every time you come back to this or anything from the Bible or sacred texts of any kind, after you've been away from it for a while, then you come back to it and you're different. It's like you have a whole bunch of different knowledge base and different experiences to draw upon, and so you're going to interpret it differently, and you're going to find things in it that you didn't hear the first time or the second time or the fifth time around. So if anyone has been curious about the book of Revelation, this is a real good introduction to it, and all I do is read it. I don't do any commentary. All I do is read it, and so you can make up your own mind what it means for you. But I think it's important that we become familiar with what's in the book of Revelation, since it is being used pretty much as the playbook, and then that way we'll be more prepared for what's coming. We'll already have been exposed to it, and I know a lot of my viewers are very left brain and scientifically minded and everything, so it's hard for them to wrap their mind around the idea that someone had a vision, over 2,000 years ago, or about 2,000 years ago, and it's talking about what's happening now. But in the spirit world, there is no time and there is no space. And so if you've delved in those realities, it's a little easier to accept. So that's why I say just have an open mind and the mind of a child, and just to be listening and see what it means to you, because what it means to you is going to mean different than, it's going to have a different meaning than for somebody else. So I'm pleased to have this project pretty much wrapped up. I'm just gonna, if I have time in the next few days, make the long video with all the 22 chapters all together and put that up. And I'll put it at the bottom of this page. But things are happening so fast, and the news is crazy, the weather is crazy, the earthquakes are crazy, everything is happening so fast, and it's hard to keep up, and you really have to pace yourself. And for me, I have to take large chunks of time and just pretty much isolate myself, stay off of Facebook, stay off of YouTube, stay off of the phone and everything, and just take these chunks of time and do my projects, because that's the only way it'll get done. I've also in my Subscribestar archives, here's my April page. Let's see if that's going to load up. And what were private videos for my Subscribestar members are now uploaded on my Vimeo account, and they're available here in my archives. And you can see it's the little smiley face, and it says Vimeo down here. So you're more than welcome to come. And now here's the embedded from YouTube, but here it is embedded from Vimeo. So you'll see those two players now. The reason I got the Vimeo account was I had been uploading the private videos to my website here, and some of the people, their browsers didn't have the right configuration or the right software or something to play the videos. Although I never had a problem with playing them, but some other people did. So I just wanted a player that was going to be more universal, and people are familiar with Vimeo and can change their settings right here in the little gear box for their device. So I have a ton of stuff over here already, and I keep adding to, and it's almost time to get all of April archived, since we're almost a week into May now. So I'll be working on that as well. And here's, like, I've been doing detailed reports on methane when it becomes available, and putting it on Subscribestar for my subscribers over there. And then, so those were private videos, and then once I put them over here, then they're public. But you have to come to my website to find them. You're not going to find them any other way. So, but you're more than welcome to come over here and look around and see what's over here. And while I'm here, kind of showing my website, here's my page on spiritual warfare if you're interested in that. Also, if you want to know more about me, I'm a hypnotist, holistic life coach, empathic spiritual healer. I'm still certified as a hypnotist. I'm a certified holistic life coach, certified mind-body fitness coach, and certified green living coach. And so I'm available for one-on-one coaching sessions mainly holistic life coaching is what I'm focusing on, and helping people to get ready to get ready for the end of life, basically. And so if you want to book a coaching session, you just come over here, and it's a form of talk therapy. If you're feeling alone and overwhelmed with the extreme changes going on in the world, I offer support and guidance in a holistic and balanced way. The sessions are focused around spiritual and practical solutions to your immediate concerns. So I do all the sessions either over the phone or on Skype. I can work worldwide, so they're about 40 minutes long. They're not very expensive, and so if you want to need help with getting your spiritual house in order, I can help you with that. If you just need someone to talk to, if you're feeling overwhelmed, things like that, I'm here. So I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, because I keep thinking time is so short. So it's very short. Time is very short. And, if you've been thinking about doing a session, now would be the time, because I just don't, as we're heading into summer and everything, all the collapse that's happening, I just seriously don't know how much longer we're going to be here. And what kind of quality of if we're even going to have internet once summer comes and some of this stuff starts coming apart. So, I have an urgency about this stuff, and that's why I'm doing all this work right now, because I feel like we may not be able to connect much longer. So there's that, if you're interested. And now I've got my news items up here. Close that out. The first one is from weatherzone.com.au, and this is about Australia. They have snow on the horizon as a strong front approaches, and it's their fall. It's our spring in the northern hemisphere, and the summer hemisphere, it's their fall. So I'm going to make this a little more readable, and this is from Monday, May the 6th, today. Parts of central NSW could see their first snow of the year as a strong cold front barrels over southeastern Australia later this week. A pair of cold fronts will cross southeastern Australia between Tuesday and Saturday, each bringing a burst of showers, storms, chilly wind, and snow. The first weaker front will cross South Australia, Victoria, Tasmania, and southern New South Wales on Tuesday and Wednesday. This system will bring about 5 to 15 millimeters of rain to some areas, with the heaviest falls occurring along exposed coastal areas and about the ranges. The air behind this front will be cold enough for a few centimeters of snow on the mainland Alps during Wednesday, and they've had awful droughts there. It's been months, and now it started raining, and now it's going to snow. The second front will be much stronger and will spread a large pool of cold air across southeastern Australia between Thursday and Saturday. This front and the cold air in its wake will produce a wintry mix of showers, blustery winds, storms, small hail, and snow in multiple states. Damaging wind gusts are likely in some areas with the passage of this system. While there's still potential for forecasts to change during the coming days, there's a good chance that parts of central New South Wales will see their first snow of the season on Friday. Further south, the Alps are likely to turn white as 10 to 20 centimeters of fresh snow blanket some of Australia's ski resorts on Thursday night and Friday. Drier and calmer weather will return to most of southeastern Australia on the weekend as the front moves out into the Tasman Sea. Snow at this time of year usually melts quickly because the underlying ground is still relatively warm. Snow usually starts to accumulate more steadily in the Alps from June. So it's a little early, but everything's out of sync. So there's that article. Then this is from Volcano Discovery, and I'll just show you a little peek on the earthquake map. There was a 7.2 that hit on land in Papua New Guinea this afternoon at 2:19 Pacific time. It was 126 kilometers deep. Right here, it was near Bulolo, Papua New Guinea. And so I saw that when it came in. So here it is on Volcano Discovery. They're calling it a 7.0 in the eastern New Guinea region on Monday. Here's all the information. Here's where it hit. And it says, and the depth was 133 kilometers. It's about 85 miles deep. The nearest volcano is Kauranga, 46 kilometers away. Estimated released energy was equivalent to 29.8 atomic bombs. How do you like that? Now you would think there would be some damage with 29.8 atomic bombs going off, wouldn't you think? Now here's some reports of who felt it. I haven't seen any damage, any major damage. Here's a long one. This was from Ley Morobe province. Moderate shaking. The noise woke us up. The bigger kids ran into the room where I was shielding my 2-year-old daughter, who was fast asleep, with my body. We stayed cuddled up, hearing vases and glasses smash onto the floor. It started small but gradually intensified, killing our electricity. A good 8 seconds it lasted. So they did lose power. Some people didn't feel it. They did feel it up into Queensland, Australia. I've got an article I'm going to share with you about that. Very light, very shaky, waiting for update. This one, strong shaking, light shaking, very strong shaking. Let's see. Moderate shaking, but apparently it was deep enough that it didn't cause huge damage, and there were no tsunamis. Here's one. Biggest shaking in the last few years at least. Power lines and trees shaking. Glassware broken. Felt change in air pressure in my ear for about 30 seconds prior. Oh, that's interesting. This person says scrambled me eggs for me, that's for sure. So it scrambled his eggs for him. Only felt by those sitting down. Moderate shaky for a few minutes and stopped. So those were people who were live on the scene. And here's an article from Yahoo from Australia. This is from today. 7.2 magnitude Papua New Guinea earthquake felt in North Queensland. Got New Zealand on the brain. Here's a picture. We can look at the pictures. Here's the grocery shelves where things fell off. And this is where the earthquake happened. So we only had 2 pictures there. So let's read this. A major earthquake in Papua New Guinea has been felt in far north Queensland, but there's no tsunami risk to Australia. The 7.2 magnitude quake hit on Tuesday about 30 kilometers north of the town of Bulolo in PNG's Morobe province. No tsunami threat to Australia from earthquake felt in far north Queensland, magnitude 7.0. That was on Twitter from the Australia's Bureau of Meteorology. It's unclear if the quake has caused any significant damage, but video footage from people in the country shows houses swaying as it hit. Let's get a cleaner view. Christopher Lamb, who was in Lae, about 100 kilometers north of Bulolo, said the rumble was audible. It was big, you can hear it. Got stuff thrown around in the house and the power is now cut off, he tweeted alongside a video that showed his home rattling. According to the Richter scale, a 7 magnitude quake is equivalent to the detonation of 20 billion kilograms of dynamite and can cause serious damage to building foundations and underground pipes. Officials said there were no immediate reports of major damage, and the depth of the tremor meant there was no tsunami threat. We have no reports as yet of serious damage. We're still assessing the situation. Staff at Bulolo's Pine Lodge Hotel said there was very minor damage from objects falling off tables, but nothing more serious. Residents in Lae, more than 100 kilometers away, said the quake knocked things off shelves and worktops and cut electricity in some areas. "I'd just woken up," Mr. Lamb, a designer who lives in the city, told AFP. "It lasted a little more than 30 seconds. We had household items knocked off their shelves." Things seem to have returned to normal. No structural damage here, though I'm not sure about other buildings in the city. There are estimated to be around 110,000 people living within 50 kilometers of the epicenter, according to the UN data. So there's that. So the reports will probably start coming in, and that was only at 2 something this afternoon, so it takes a while for everything to be assessed. So next, before we get started on our earthquakes, we can look at what's going on at Oroville. Here's their daily data, and at midnight the lake level was at 86.55 feet, and the inflow from yesterday was around 14,500 cubic feet per second, and the outflow was around 11,000 cubic feet per second. Now here it is for the real time, and at 6 o'clock it was 886.86 feet. So we get our calculator out. 886.86 minus, at midnight it was 886.55, so it's gone up 0.31 feet, so about a third of a foot. It's about 4 inches since midnight. And yesterday, from midnight to midnight, it went up 0.45 feet, so about half a foot. So we can see that the inflow today, the highest amount was up here at about 9 o'clock this morning. It was a little over 16,000 CFS, and it was lowest around 11 to 12 o'clock noon, 9,485 CFS. And then it's just been coming back and forth, and then it was around 13,000 at the 4 o'clock reading, and at the 5 o'clock reading the inflow was a little over 12,000. Let's see if we've got any more data here. So at the 6 o'clock reading the inflow was 12,562, and the outflow is 9,686. So the outflow is still less than the inflow, so I don't know how full they're going to fill that lake up. You know, it's going to be getting warm, and there's still snow to melt, and here in Reno we've got showers coming in, so I don't know if it's going to be raining over there in the Chico area where Oroville is near, or what, but it just seems to me they're kind of flirting with a huge disaster here by letting it get that full, unless for some reason they can't use the main spillway, and that's been rebuilt with $101 billion of money. Unless for some reason they can't use it, or don't want to use it, or can't use it, and they're not telling us. The only information we get out of DWR and the officials is that there's nothing wrong. That's all we get. So it's just curious to me. And the emergency spillway, the top of that is 901 feet. So 901 minus, let's just say 887. It's 14 feet away. So I don't know. You know, in the meantime, we're all sitting here about to have a nervous breakdown, thinking about all the things that could go wrong. So we just got to pray and put it in God's hands, because, you know, those officials are just doing what they want. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if we ask for information or anything. It's, you know, and that's how things are. That's how it is in this world. You know, I was active in the UFO community for a long time. It's the same thing. This is such a cover-up by the government, but now there's article after article and about, oh, You know, there's UFOs all over the place, and I mean, you can see them in the sky. I mean, I take pictures and they show up in my pictures. I've seen them with my naked eye, and I mean, and they're becoming more and more prominent, you know. So, you know, that's how cover-ups run. Oh, nothing here, nothing wrong, just move along. Just don't worry your pretty little head. Don't strain your brain. I'm not stupid. And most of my listeners are not stupid either. I've got a very smart listening viewership. Very smart. You're some of the smartest people on the web here. So, these are about to come off the map from Kobuk. So I'm going to start up here in Alaska today. We've got 14 on the map that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. We've got 73 that are all magnitudes. So I'm going to start up here at Kobuk because these are about to come off the map. There are 14 here at Kobuk today in the last 24 hours. And all these times I'm going to tell you are Pacific time because that's my time zone and that's the zone I think in. 3.1 at Kobuk yesterday at 7:14 p.m. That's the biggest one. The rest of them were 1s and under. Here's a 1.8. A lot of these are at the surface level. 1.2, 1.3, and so forth. But that 3.1 was the biggest. Next to that was a 2.5. That was at 12:55 this afternoon at surface level. A lot of mining going on up there. So let's go back to 2.5 magnitudes and higher. We saw those. Down here at Talkeetna, we've got a 2.6 and a 2.5. At Anchorage, we've got 3. Here's a 2.6, here's a 2.8, and a 2.7, so that magnitude is getting a little higher. Here's one near Nikiski, a 2.6. Coming on down, 3.1 Larsen Bay. Then we've got 3 here near Kodiak, a 2.8. 3.5 and a 3.4, and these are right next to this red line, which is the tectonic plate line. Here's a 3.0 near Nikolsky. Here's a 4.4 near Amatignac Island. So these are getting a little bit higher in magnitude, I would say. And now when we look at all magnitudes, we can see them scattered around. Here's Redoubt Volcano. Here's Anchorage. But it's pretty sparse in the Anchorage area. We can see there's still, it's moving out from that area. And with such a large earthquake on the southern end of that ring of fire, we're going to have, it's going to transfer movement all around the plate, including up here in Alaska. Here's a 2.4 Koktovik and a 1.9 Koktovik. So there's Alaska, and if anything else comes in up there, we'll look at it. So what else is about to come off the map. Well, that's okay. We've got plenty of time. I'm going to start over here in the Atlantic, right on this red line. We've got 2 north of Ascension Island, a 5.4 that happened at 6:23 this morning, and a 5.0 that happened at 9:11 this morning. Ascension Island. Yes, I believe we are going to ascend. That's what Jesus did. And that's what we're going to do. The ones who believe are. Here's a 3.9 San Clemente, Chile at 5:50 this afternoon. Here's one off the coast of Panama, 4.4 near Pedregal at 5:30 this afternoon. Now here's the Panama Canal, so at least it wasn't over there, but that's still a little too close for comfort for me. Now let's come across. I'm going to cover this one next. It's right on the Antarctic plate, 4.9 Western Indian Antarctic Ridge. This one came in last night at 8:26 in the evening. Now let's start down here in the South Pacific, 4.8 near Gisborne, New Zealand. That's the reporting station. That's quite a ways from Gisborne. Here's Gisborne on the coast, but so this earthquake was to the northeast and to the right of this red line. So it's a 4.8 that happened at 11:26 last night. Next is a 4.8 near Raoul Island, New Zealand at 4:22 this morning. Then a 4.8 south of the Fiji Islands at 2:03 this afternoon. Now this one's very deep, 499 kilometers deep. The deeper they are, the more they cause movement of all the other tectonic plates. Here's a 5.0 near Isengel, Vanuatu in the ocean at 8:56 last night, 221 kilometers deep. Next, a 5.0 near Luganville, Vanuatu at 4:16 this afternoon, 169 kilometers deep. Then moving on around, here's a 5.5 near Panguna, Papua New Guinea at 7:13 this morning, 58 kilometers deep. I'm pretty sure there's no tsunami warning for this one. No, the only one... No. No, it's not on there. So no tsunami warning for that. Next was this 7.2 near Bulolo, Papua New Guinea at 2:19 this afternoon, 126 kilometers deep. On land, I'm expecting some damage to show up from this. I mean, you can't have a 7.2 and not have some kind of damage. I mean, it might be broken lines, broken pipes underneath. It might be, ceiling tiles fall off, things fall off the sides of buildings. Definitely things falling off of shelves and things like that. I don't know if there will be any roof collapsing or anything. It just depends on how close that was to anyone living around there. Here's a 4.6 near Pondaguitan, Philippines at 4:09 this afternoon. Next, here's one to the north end of the Philippines, 5.5 near Santa Praxedas, Philippines at 7:48 last night. Coming on around this ring of fire, here's one off the coast of Japan at 4.4 near Nami at 4:07 this morning. And here's one to the south of Kamchatka, Russia, 4.6, Severokurilsk, Russia, at 9:38 last night. Now let's move on over here. 5.3 off the coast of Sumatra, near Bengkulu, Indonesia at 1:20 this morning. Here's one up in the Bay of Bengal, 4.9 near Teknaf, Bangladesh at 7:18 this morning. Next, here's right where these two red lines meet. A 4.9 off the coast of Tamrida, Yemen at 7:47 this morning. That's in the Arabian Sea. Here's Africa. This is Saudi Arabia. So it's off the coast there. So I think that is all of the international quakes. Now, let's move on over to Hawaii. We've got 4 here today, a 2.2, 1.9, 2.4, and 1.9. Now these are on the flank of that Kilauea volcano where it collapsed last year. So there's that. Now we're going to hop over to the Dominican Republic. We're showing 9 here today, 2.7, 2.7, 2.4, 2.7, 2.9, 1.9, 2.9, 2.8, and 3.2 is the largest one, and that came in at 1:14 this afternoon. So those are not big enough to do damage, but it's showing movement. Now we're going to move into the lower 48. We're not seeing anything on the east coast. Here we have one right in the New Madrid hazard zone of 1.8 Tiptonville, Tennessee at 4:39 this morning. Next, Utah's quiet, except for we've got one right up at the northern end of the Great Salt Lake, 1.0 near Park Valley, Utah, 7:17 this morning. Now, what's going on at Yellowstone? Looks like we've got some activity here. We've got 7 here. I'm going to start with this one 1.6 near Soda Springs, Idaho. Okay, we've got Challis, Idaho. We've got a 0.8 and a 0.8 and a 0.8, so 3 right there. We've got a 0.6 at Three Forks, Montana, and we've got a 0.9 and a 1.0 near Lincoln, Montana. And that's it for Yellowstone. Those are pretty small, but it's definitely showing movement. Now let's come on up to the Pacific Northwest. I remember how we saw those tremors moving down. Let's look at the tremor map. In the last 3 hours, we only have 6 tremors. So 0.5 hours of tremors. In the last 12 hours, we've got 2.8 hours of tremors. Again, they're clustering to this this area west of Portland, Oregon, then a little bit up here west of Seattle, and then a little bit down here near Eugene, and here down by Redding. But the majority are right here near Portland. So let's look at 24 hours. 10.7. So not as many in the last 12 hours, but in 24 hours we've got almost half of that time with shaking. And we can see the big huge cluster here by Portland. So here's Portland. Now we've got a whole line of earthquakes coming down to the east of that though. So here's an explosion, 1.5 magnitude explosion near Sandy, Oregon at 1:39 this afternoon. This is a 1.1 Carson, Washington, and a 1.3 Carson, Washington, 0.5 Morton, and a 1.0 Morton. Now those are pretty near Mount St. Helens. It's right there. Now let's move on down. Here's one. Here's another explosion of 0.8 magnitude near Drain, Oregon at 11:35 this morning. And remember yesterday we saw all those on the edge of this Juan de Fuca plate and over here at Petrolia. Well, we have one more, 2.0 at Petrolia at 5:05 this morning. Here's one, 1.3 near Covelo, California. Here's a 1.8 at Redwood Valley. Well, let's see what's going on at the geysers. There are 32 here today. And okay, this is a 2.6 at Round Valley. Okay. So we got 32 at the geysers here today. Ones and under. Here's a 2.2. That's the highest one. So let's just come on down this west side and then we'll come back up and catch Nevada coming back up. 1.5 Glen Ellen. Here in San Francisco area, 1.4 Colma. Here's another quarry blast, a 1.2 Loyola. Here's a 1.3 Sunol, 1.5 Livermore, 1.6 Alum Rock, 0.8 near Gilroy. Here's a pair, 1.2 and 1.2 at Pinnacles. Coming on down. Here's a 0.7 San Ardo, 1.7 Parkfield. And now coming into Southern California, here's one off the coast at 0.8 near San Clemente. And in Southern California, we have 39 here today. That's a decent size or number. Here's a 1.4 quarry blast near Home Gardens. Here's a 1.6 Valinda. 1.0 Oquanga. I'm just trying to get some of the larger dots. Here's a pair, 1.3 and 1.9 Westmoreland. Here's another quarry blast, a 1.4 magnitude near Chula Vista. Here's a 1.2 Ocotillo, and so forth. So those are pretty small. Did we see this? 1.5 magnitude quarry blast near Boron. So the blasters are back at work. 1.2 Tehachapi. We got 249 earthquakes worldwide. So the earthquake makers are back at work. We've got 7 here near Little Lake, except for this one near Beatty. So these are 1s and under. Now coming up, here's 3 right here. Lone Pine, 0.4, 0.7, and a 0.7 at Big Pine. And here's Mammoth Lakes, and Long Valley Caldera. We've got 13 here today. This is 2.1 at Round Valley, and 2.6 at Round Valley. Those are the largest ones, and the rest are under 1. And remember, we saw a whole bunch here at Round Valley in the last few days. Here's a 0.7 as well. Coming on up, that's it for there. Now coming into the Reno area, we've got 3 near, they're calling all of those at Cold Springs at 0.5, 1.5, and a 0.7. Reno's clear, Lake Tahoe is clear, Carson City is clear. Okay, here's one down by Hawthorne, minus 0.1. God, it was so active down here in the last few days, and now it's slowed down. Here's a 1.4 near Gabbs. Here's a 2.2 at Austin again, but only 1, and that one happened at 1:21 this afternoon. So maybe that clustering is over with. Here we are coming into southern Nevada. We've got about 8 here, and they're small. Uh-oh, here's some more. Here's 11 on this map. Here's a little cluster. These are all at Beatty. They're calling them at Beatty. Here's 0.4 at Nellis Air Force Base, right at the surface. I wonder what they were doing. Probably something top secret. Here's a 1.1 at Caliente. I wouldn't doubt at all it was something top secret that made that earthquake. Here's a 0.2 at Alamo. Here's a minus 0.4. Then we got some microquakes. So I think that's a wrap. I can't see anything else. Did we get these? 1.6 alum rock. 1.3 Suno. Yeah, we got those. Too far. We got that one in Chile. We got that one at Panama. We got the Talkeetna. We got Luganville. Yeah, I think we've got them all. So that's a wrap. So I'm going to sign off for now. And like I said earlier, we're running out of time. Running out of time for whatever you need to finish up here on this earth plane and prepare to exit. But the main preparation is spiritual. So until next time, God bless everyone, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.